An invented language that maybe has a little bit in common with those very logical languages that Erica was just talking about there is lojban. Lojban is a language designed to test a controversial idea in linguistics called the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. This is the suggestion, which we've discussed before on Word of Mouth, that the language you speak determines the way you think. So back in the 1960s, a sociologist called James Cook Brown had the idea that if you invented a new language, completely logical, unambiguous and free from social bias, then you could test out that theory. Now, the trouble is it's incredibly hard to use, I gather. The number of fluent speakers is tiny and they hardly ever meet each other, but I've got here a rare example of an almost fluent conversation that happened in Glasgow in 1995. Let's listen. Colin Fine has been involved in Lujban and its predecessor, Luglan, since the late 1970s. Colin, welcome to the programme. How is your Lujban, in fact? Are you any good at it?
I'm certainly not fluent. I haven't had anybody to talk it to for probably about 10 years.
And what is the point of it?
Well, for me, for interest, for its own sake.
I understand there was an idea that maybe Lojban could be used as a way for computers and humans to speak to each other.
Certainly people have said that. I've never really believed in it myself. If it had come along early enough, there was just a remote possibility it might have worked for that. But the trouble is that the advances in natural language understanding by computers have overtaken it.
And what can you do with it that you can't do in English?
You can make distinctions readily that are difficult to make in English, if you choose to.
So give us an example.
Oh, if I say lojban, the thing I'm describing as a table is different from lojban, the thing that really is a table. If I say lojban, I'm referring to something that, say, a pile of books that you've put something on. That wouldn't be accurate.
Oh, that's an improvised
because it's
table.
Not really a table. But it would be reasonable to refer to it as lojban, because by using the word le rather than lo, I'm signalling to you that I'm not interested in whether it really is one, but I'm describing it as such and expecting you to pick that up. We do that all the time in natural languages when we use a word like the.
And what about in Lojban, how about tenses? Is Lojban very logical about its past tense, for example?
Yes, but it's as logical as the speaker chooses to be. You can leave out tense entirely if you wish.
So you get it from context, yeah?
If I say mi clama la Bristol, I am a goer to the thing named Bristol. I go to Bristol.
And here you are in Bristol, so that means you came here today.
Probably.
You're explaining that to me.
But it might be talking about next year.
Yes.
But if I say mi pusi clama la Bristol, it means I, short time ago, came to. You can specify the direction in time, past, future, present, the amount of separation from here, short, long, medium, the duration, whether it's a short, long duration, the contours, is it you're talking about the beginning of something or the continuation or something that's gone beyond its natural end point.
Wow.
And grammatically you can do all these things in space as well as time. There's no difference. In most natural languages, you have to specify when a thing is placed in time. You don't have to specify where it is in place. In Lujban, expressions of time and expressions of place are equally optional.
So let's just do a little bit on the history of Lujban. Let's do the gossip bit, shall we? It started off as Luglan or Loglan.
Luglan,
So
yes.
What was the deal here? What happened? Why did Luglan become Lujban?
A group of people thought that certain changes and certain ways of doing things would be preferable and started doing them. And the person who'd invented it, JCB,
yes,
as he was called, James Cook Brown, he was known as JCB, he said, it's mine and you're not doing that. The schismatics were not intending a schism. They were contributing what they could to the language to improve it.
And he said, no, you're being schismatic. So are you chess-playing, mathematically minded people, or are you...
I think a lot. I mean, I'm certainly mathematically minded. I play with languages. I'm fascinated by natural languages. and the wonderful variety and the way they develop and the way they're similar and different and the way they structure things. And so this is just, in a way, an offshoot.
And do you think learning Lojban enables you to think more clearly and logically?
I think learning any language other than your own requires you to think sometimes about particular ways of relating things or distinctions to make. In all European languages, most of the time, you have to worry about whether you're talking about one thing or many. On the whole, every time you open your mouth and speak any European language,
yes,
it matters whether you're talking singular or plural. In many Asian languages, that's simply not true. In Chinese, in Japanese, if you need to indicate one or many, you can. But you don't have to.
Right.
And so that's a distinction that somebody learning a European language from the Far East has to learn to make. There are new ways of thinking about things that you have to learn, about causality, about number. And I think perhaps because certain logical distinctions have been built into Lojban, in the case of Lujban, yes, there'll be certain logical ways of thinking that it does require you to apply.
Colin Fine, thanks very much indeed.